Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling this short clip from the Young Turks' YouTube channel titled, "These so-called white people, really Edomite people, think slavery wasn't so bad." And as we'll see in this clip, it's just the devil, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, showing his horns and his callousness towards the situation his people have put the children of Israel in the past, all the way up until today. The children of Israel consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, downplaying slavery, and they said a new one in this clip, that slavery shouldn't be considered white guilt, but a white blessing, which, when you hear the pride and just the callousness of these comments that these Edomites make, of course, being an Israelite, you're going to get upset. But when you understand the scriptures and you're working in the spirit, hey, these Edomites are in the right spirit. Hey, these Edomites, hey, they don't have to feel bad about slavery. Hey, it was set up through prophecy for them to put us into slavery and rule over us for a season, and they should enjoy their kingdom, because when the kingdom of heaven is established, where the children of Israel are going to get their true reparations, hey, myself and I know you other Akim and Akwat out there are not going to feel bad about these Edomites being in slavery, hardcore slavery at that. That's going to make the captivity we were in look like a day on Sesame Street. Hey, we're not going to feel bad about whipping you Edomites' backs and put you into hardcore labor from sun up to sundown. Hey, making you work a couple of days if in a row if need be. And there's going to be no talks about reparations or plight for the Edomite. Hey, that's going to be your recompense, your punishment, your just deserts for touching the apple of the Most High's eye. So, with this little bit of time you Edomites have left to rule, because we can clearly see that you're about to fall with your entire kingdom, and you better live it up and be as prideful as you want to be the biggest devil as you want to be, because once we've got our foots on your necks, it's going to be hell to tell the captain. But before I start this video, I'm going to get a few precepts, hey, which these scriptures truly, hey, diagnose the mental conditions and thoughts and the spirit of you Edomites. This is Zechariah 11, verse 5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And as we'll see in this clip, our possessors right now, these Edomites, and they've slayed us in the past all the way up until today. These cops gunning down our men and women and children in the streets, them putting Planned Parenthoods into our neighborhoods to advocate for our women to delete their children, hey, them putting poisonous food and water in our neighborhoods for our people to eat and drink, and them giving us rap and hip hop, thug and thought and WAP and whore culture just to further destroy our people's minds, calling us black, nigger, African American, spick, Mexican, Tonto, all that, and hold themselves not guilty. Hey, that was in the past. We should just let bygones be bygones. Hey, that was I'm not responsible for that. That's what my ancestors did. Hey, we're all in the same situation right now. We all just gotta pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and make our American dream. All the BS we've heard all before, just completely disregarding the fact that this whole system of so-called white Edomite supremacy is set up from the root all the way to the from the core to just disenfranchise you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And they that sell them, and of course, they bought and sold us in the transatlantic slave trade. And they that sell them say, "Blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich." And in that clip, like I said a little earlier, one Edomite literally said, that it shouldn't be called white guilt. Slavery should be called a white blessing, because look at all the opportunities it's given so-called white people off the backs of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans building up this country. And there was also a movie called Goodbye Uncle Tom, where these Italian filmmakers travel back in time and document the slave trade. And there was an Edomite plantation owner in the scene that got on his knees and literally prayed to God, thanking him that he had slaves and that they made him rich, and their own shepherds pitied them not. That's going into you coon pastors, you false prophets, you bed wenches, you fucking sellout jakes out there that try to cape for the so-called white man and try to toe his line about how, oh, that's all in the past. We should let bygones be bygones. Hey, you and these Edomites in America are going to get destroyed when the Most High really opens up the judgment on this place. This is Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, in the Apocrypha, chapter 41, verses 5 to 7. And besides the Edomites in this clip, and when brothers bring out the scriptures and the judgment that's going to befall you Edomites on the block for what you did to our people, hey, you have this sentiment. And just when you see critical race theory or anything being brought up in the news, in the media, about the wicked past you Edomites have this mentality. This is Sirach 41, verses 5 to 7. The children of sinners are abominable children, and the children of you sinners, the descendants of you Edomite slave owners and just you Edomites in general in the past are abominable. You're filth and scum, just like your forefathers. And if you understand the scriptures, you know that reincarnation is biblical. So them very same Edomites in the past that were living in the heights of slavery, in the heights of the oppression of the children of Israel, they're being reincarnated today, still being devils. And they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly, and sin according to the scriptures is not following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And you Edomites and your whole society is clean contrary to everything spoken of in the scriptures. Truly are some sinners out there. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. And we're seeing your inheritance, the great United States of America, the American dream, perishing right before your very eyes. More and more Edomites losing their jobs. More and more Edomite men having their women divorce them and take everything from them. Their the money they made from their businesses, their children. Your children are bugged out and either sodomites or whores, just freaks out here. Drug addiction, especially with fentanyls on the rise. Your birth rates are declining globally. Your governments are on the verge of collapse. The list goes on. And ultimately, your prestige, this so-called golden history you Edomites like to show, is being exposed first and foremost by the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, going through the scriptures, showing that you are the man of sin, the son of perdition, the Edomites, that everything you got was through rape, robbery, and murder, and that you lied about history. And their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. And we're seeing that now. Hey, it's a so-called shame to have white skin nowadays. It's a target for colonizers, oppressors, and all that. I saw a video once where it was a group of people lined up in the middle, and if they stepped to the right hand or to the left hand, it was to answer what question was being asked. So first they asked a bunch of so-called Negroes and Latinos, do they like being brown skinned? Do they like being, people of color? And you could either step to the left to say no or step to the right to say yes. Or if you stayed in the middle, it was no question, no answer. And everybody, when they asked the Jakes the question, stepped to the right. So they accepted it. But then they asked a group of Edomites the same question. Some stepped to the left saying no, they're not proud to have white skin. I think maybe one or two stepped to the right to say yes, but a lot of them stayed in the middle. They didn't know how to answer the question. Why? because they were afraid to be seen as colonizers, racists, scum, devils, if they accepted their so-called white skin as a good thing, which you're not white, you're red, and you're an Edomite. So that's just the beginning stages of showing that you have a perpetual reproach for what your forefathers did. And you're going to have a perpetual reproach going into the kingdom. Everybody's going to know that you're an Edomite, and that red skin of yours is going to be an indicator of this is a devil. This is the basest of men, the lowest of the low. And besides the Israelites putting a foot in your ass in the kingdom, these other heathen nations, though they're going to be in captivity as well, are going to get a piece of you too. The children will complain of an ungodly father. You can't blame me for that. That was hundreds of years ago. I wasn't there. I have good black friends. I have Mexican friends. Blah, 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 blah. The same shit we always hear, and the same shit we're going to hear in that clip, because they shall be reproached for his sake. You Edomites are being reproached right now, and that reproach is going to continue. It's going to be perpetual reproach, and it's going to end in you going into hardcore bondage and slavery for the first 1,000 years in the kingdom of heaven. And then after that first 1,000 years, every single Edomite man, woman, and child is going to be gathered up and permanently culled from this planet by fire. There will not be one Edomite remaining after that first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven. And you're just gonna, and nobody's gonna regret it. Nobody's gonna have any remorse for you Edomites. And it's gonna be like a bad dream everybody finally woke up from. A nightmare, like this American nightmare. But let's get back to this video. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
Just keep it flying.
Keep it flying? And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism. It symbolizes slavery.
Yeah, but maybe he really, really likes slavery.
And they might.
And that Edomite, you can tell he doesn't like niggers. He doesn't like spics, tontos, anything. He wants the good old days, the days where you could call a nigger, call an Israelite a nigger, all these bywords, they lynch him, put him to death, and if need be, Jake still being in slavery.
Have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. They're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment, but thank you for the interview.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
I'll give you one more chance. Pro or anti-slavery?
No comment.
I'll give you one more opportunity to say if you're pro or anti-slavery.
No comment.
And he looks like, your typical Edomite you'd assume was a racist, some old fucking asshole with the Confederate flag t-shirt. But hey, don't be fooled. A lot of these young Edomites feel the exact same way out here. I've experienced it in my personal life as well. Growing up, and this was way back in elementary school, I had a Edomite friend who I considered, a really good friend of mine. And one time, you know how kids get to playing and stuff. Like I was tapping him and poking him and stuff, just joking. He's like, "Hey, stop it!" But I kept doing it because I was joking, just no malice or anything like that. And eventually, he just yelled at me, "Stop it, nigger!" So much for the new generations being more open-minded and liberal and more accepting. It's all bullshit. To you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans out there, don't fall for the okie doke. Whether they're conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, if they're an Edomite, they're an Edomite. And they have that perpetual hatred towards you, as it says in Ezekiel chapter 35, I believe verse 5 or verse 6.
All right, well, there you have it. No comment on the if you're in favor of slavery or not.
Some people might watch that video and find it shocking. I watch that video and I think it's just another day in America.
Yeah, I hear you. So, people who wear the Confederate flag or flag are all saying, heritage. What part of the heritage? See, that guy just made it clear. At least he's honest. He's like, yeah, the slavery part of the heritage. That's the part I liked. Where my loser ass felt like I was above someone.
They still had better lives here than they did back in Africa. As slaves, they had better lives here.
And there are some that would argue that you can look.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And when you look at the history of, and I'll deal with the Southern Kingdom, or you so-called Negroes, when you were over in so-called Africa, and we aren't Hamites, we aren't so-called Africans, we're Israelites, and our people fled into the interiors of Africa, the west coast of Africa, after 70 AD, when the Roman Edomites tore down Jerusalem. And even then, there were Israelite communities in Africa, and we had thriving communities, empires, civilizations. We weren't running around in loincloths, hunting lions with blow darts and spears, putting dung into our hair. And you had the Mali Empire, the Ghana Empire, the Songhai Empire, the Aksum Empire, and then up in Europe during the Dark Ages, during the medieval times, Jake was ruling as the kings and the queens, the Moors and all that. When you think of knights and chivalry, hey, that goes back to Israelites. So we had an illustrious history, and before we went into captivity under you Edomites, and that's you trying to cover up that past. You trying to steal our history, covering up the face of the judges thereof, as it says in Job chapter 9, verse 24, and 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48, where it says you opened up the book of the law and sought to paint over the likeness of their images. And that was dealing with the Greek Edomites under Antiochus IV Epiphanes. But y'all have that same spirit. Everything Jake does, when you get one over on Jake, you try to cover up Jake's history and show it as your own history.
Up. Their descendants, the descendants of those slaves, have much better lives here than the descendants of people who would have never gotten on those slave boats in Africa. And that's a provable fact, because we have given them all those freedoms.
I don't know how you do it.
It's a provable fact.
I can't do that. And of course, there's an African-American guy behind him the whole time, who I kept looking at during the interview to see if he was going to react at all, but he was too busy selling his Trump shirts.
We understand the curse that was slavery. White people do.
Listen to this closely.
And we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in and lived in. And so a lot of people...
And that's what it was. It was a blessing unto you Edomites to have us into captivity and us to build up your kingdoms and for you to live off of our backs. Back in Zechariah 11, verse 5. And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich.
People call this white privilege, and when you say those two words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people, because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that they
don't want somebody to tell them to check their privilege. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Hey, they don't want to be told to check their privilege. Hey, that wasn't me. You whoop-de-whoop-de-woo.
And I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is the trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart. Sure. Let's get down to what then do you want to call it. And I think maybe a great thing for me is to call it white blessing.
I just wish the people at home they can't see.
And hey, it was a part of the curses for us being disobedient to the Heavenly Father, for us to have to build up you Edomites as society and not benefit from it at all. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 3. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Think about in slavery. Jake would have him a wife, but what if the Edomite slave master or one of the taskmasters got drunk and was feeling himself and wanted to go grape that woman? He could do it without repercussions. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Building up these plantation houses and these other places, draining the swamps, setting up the agriculture and infrastructure for these Edomites to benefit off of. The White House itself was built by slaves. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, plant fruits, cotton, all these other things, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Enjoy them. We planted these cash crops just for you Edomites to make money off of it. That's your blessing. It was our curse, but your blessing. But again, there will be a recompense to come for it.
See producer Brett behind the scenes. We can see him. I wish there's a recording of that somewhere. Just him watching this video, like, is just making him very uncomfortable. Brett did not like this video.
My favorite reaction to it on Twitter was someone who goes by Beth Banana. And Beth says, white privilege is wanting to rebrand something as white blessing because white fragility makes white people not want to hear about white privilege. Yeah, the concept is supposed to make you uncomfortable because the reality is uncomfortable. And
Hey, the children shall complain of an ungodly father because they shall be reproached for his sake. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish.
by the way, you should never refer to anything involving slavery as a blessing.
There were
And not according to the scriptures. It was a blessing for you Edomites to have us into slavery, and it's going to be a blessing unto us to get you into slavery, boy.
undoubtedly many nice slaveholders in the South. This is not meant facetiously, again. It's meant literally. If you had been invited to one of their homes, you would have been treated beautifully, but they supported a vicious system. The left is a vicious system. It's not slavery, although the end result of all leftism is the enslavement of populations, not as in transatlantic slave trade or chattel slavery, but in the diminution of human rights and liberties, which is a form of enslavement.
And hey, we give credit where credit's due. We're not duplicitous or liars like you Edomites out there. You other just scumbags. That last point he said, he was telling the truth. So-called left, as you want to call it, which I'll just call it the planes of the elites. It is to take away people's civil rights and human rights and just to turn you into cattle, make you just obedient slaves of this NW0, their GREATRESET that they're trying to pass, where you're going to have the charagma in you, live in 15-minute cities to where you won't be able to travel but only 15 minutes away from your home. You'll own nothing and be happy and eat bugs and all that. So the elites of this planet, these who are Edomites, hey, they're putting their own people into slavery as well as to want to put other people in slavery. But hey, their plans are not going to work. They're going to fail and the kingdom of heaven's going to be established. But regardless, you Edomites and your elites, you're going into slavery under the real NW0, the real GREATRESET, under the nation of Israel.
Well, if we're being super generous to Dennis Prager, he's saying, well, slavery was vicious, but even so, some of the people who participated in it were nice people. They would treat you nicely. And so don't be fooled by people being nice. Okay, so that's the most generous interpretation of what Prager is saying. But look at his assumptions. Like, it doesn't even occur to him that anyone in his audience is black. Because if you were black, they would not have treated you nicely. They might have literally taken you out into the back and whipped you or raped you instantly.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie, grape with her. And we can't forget the practice of buck breaking, where Edomite slave masters would take the biggest, strongest Jake out in front of the rest of the slaves and bend him over and give him that Pulp Fiction treatment. It just to break his will and break his strength and the spirit of those other Jakes out there, showing that, hey, you're under our complete subjection and there's nothing you can do about it.
That would not have been a very nice way to treat you, right? But he thinks, well, I mean, it would have been nice to me.
I love the...
Say with this clip, but hey, as the elder brother Malcolm of the Chicago camp says, there's a manifest destiny, part 2. And that part 2 is the manifest destiny of the children of Israel, of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, of the kingdom of heaven, which involves you Edomites and you other heathens being our slaves, us getting our reparations and recompense from you. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Hey, and we've been in tribulation under these Edomites and other heathen nations, hey, for the majority of our history. So now we're coming into the times when the Most High is going to recompense you heathens, beginning with you Edomites, by put you into tribulation, into slavery, under the children of Israel in the kingdom of heaven. And all these curses that were on us are going to be on you heathens. Again, chiefly you Edomites. These other heathens are going to go through it, but you Edomites are going to get it the fucking worst. This is Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. And Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, thou that hast a perpetual hatred against the children of Israel, as pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5, you Edomites. All these curses are going to be put on you. So anything you can think of from the slave movies, hey, expect that to be done to you Edomites. Back in Deuteronomy 28, verse 30, but real quick, we're going to be operating by the laws, statutes, and commandments. So there's going to be no wicked shit like forcefully feeding you pork, buck breaking you, or any raping a man's wife or children in front of him, nothing like that. But this is one of the curses that's going to come upon you. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Let's say an Israelite sees a Edomite with a woman that an Edomite woman that he likes in the kingdom. He's not gonna, handle his business with you, handle his business with your woman in front of you or anything like that. We're just simply gonna put you to death and take your woman, give her a month to mourn your loss, and then she's just gonna become a concubine. Thou shalt build an house, hey, build up our palaces, build up our kingdom, and thou shalt not dwell therein. You aren't going to be able to enjoy those houses, those palaces, like the Israelites didn't when you built up America off of our blood, sweat, and tears. And I know some brothers may have house Edomites, but I'm not letting any Edomites work in the big house in the kingdom. You're straight field labor. And then the conditions you Edomites are going to be living in, you're going to be living underground and hovels and holes and all that. And thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. You're going to plant our cotton. You're going to plant our grapes, our vineyards, our fruits, take care of our animals, husbandry, agriculture, all that. And we're going to reap the benefits off of your labor, your free labor at that. This is Revelation chapter 13, verses 9 to 10. For those that like to say, oh, all those precepts you're bringing out in the Old Testament, and the Old Testament's been done away with. Jesus came to save everybody, and everybody can get salvation. But hey, as it says in Malachi, the Most High, or a so-called God, whose true name is Yahweh, changeth not. He's the same today, yesterday, and in the future. And in Hebrews, it says the same thing about his son, Yahushai, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ. And this is in the book of Revelation, the last book of the New Testament of the scriptures. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And we clearly went into captivity or slavery under you Edomites, under the transatlantic slave trade. And we're still in captivity unto this day. You got to get a job. You got to pay your taxes, all that. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Those countless numbers of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that were killed during the transatlantic slave trade, the colonization of America, slavery, Reconstruction, all the way up until today. And even before that, you Edomites have to pay for the Israelites you killed during the Grecian Empire and the ancient pagan Roman Empire. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Mass numbers you Edomites, you're going to be put to the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And we're patiently and faithfully waiting for these prophecies to come to their fulfillment. This is This is Jeremiah 30, verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. It's a righteous thing for the Most High to recompense judgment unto those that have troubled you. So there's no escaping the recompense, the punishment, the judgment for what you heathens have done to the children of Israel. Again, chiefly you Edomites, who are at the top of the list of the heathen nations that confederated themselves against the children of Israel in Psalms chapter 83. Yeah, you're going into captivity, you're going to be devoured, we're going to spoil you, and you're going to be a prey unto us. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the captivity that you Edomites are going to go in is going to make our captivity look like a day on Sesame Street. This is Revelation 18, verse 6. And the book, the chapter of Revelation, the book of Revelation chapter 18 is dealing with the complete destruction of the United States of America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great, that whore, mystery Babylon. And you Edomites that did the most to the children of Israel, you dwell in Babylon, the United States. Reward her even as she rewarded you. They that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. They that kill with the sword must be killed with the sword. They that devoured thee shall be devoured. They that made thee a spoil shall be a spoil. They that preyed upon you shall be a prey. All Edomites in America are going to die on this side. And when you're reborn through the loins of the Edomites that survived the nuclear destruction of World War III, hey, you're going to come straight into slavery. And that's when your hell is going to truly begin. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. Hey, so you're going to get a double portion of the curses of Deuteronomy 28, a double portion of slavery, a double portion of judgment, punishment, captivity, any horrific thing you can think about. No escape. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to close it out in Ezekiel chapter 25, verses 12 to 14. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah, the house of Judah being you so-called Negroes in America, you so-called African Americans, some of the main ones that were in slavery in the United States. Hey, there were even Judite slaves along with other Israelites of the southern kingdom down in Central and South America as well, which the Edomites have to pay for. But because Edom had dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, putting us to death by the sword, and putting us into captivity, and hath greatly offended. It says in Isaiah chapter 47 that you did more than what you were supposed to do to the children of Israel. And also in Ezekiel 35 that you continued to slay us with the sword when our iniquity was at an end, when we got out of slavery proper. You know, Jake going through the Reconstruction era, the Black Wall Street, Rosewood, the Civil Rights era, all that. Jake continued to have you Edomites' foot on their neck, destroying everything we had, abusing our people, and had greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will also stretch out mine hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And this is going to begin when these nuclear missiles that are shot during World War III hit everywhere you Edomites dwell and kill a lot of Edomites. But in the United States of America, every single Edomite man, woman, and child is going to be wiped out by 200 million nuclear missiles, which is going to turn this place into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. And for the Edomites that are going to be slaves in that first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven, hey, you're going to be put to work. And then after that 1,000 years, Hey, you're going to get that Obadiah 1:18 treatment where every single Edomite, man, woman, and child, young and old, is going to be permanently culled from this planet. Hey, I will cut off man from it. Verse 14, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. Hey, the faith and the patience of the saints. Those that devoured thee shall be devoured. Spoiled thee shall be a spoil. Those that led thee into captivity shall go into captivity. Those that killed with the sword will be killed with the sword. And they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury. And they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh. Hey, we're going to have the vengeance, the anger, the righteous indignation of the Most High on us in the kingdom to enact those judgments on you Edomites emotionlessly, hey, without a care in the world. And that's judgment and justice, righteousness according to the scriptures, according to the Most High. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, primarily from the United States of America. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.